One of Agran's staff had to run over to the Super Saver and buy some makeup because the network had broken its promise to provide it. This was typical of the media's treatment of Agran. When he appeared at this Democratic candidates forum, this Associated Press photo simply cropped Agran out of the frame. During the New Hampshire primary, the TV news reported the polling numbers of the top 5 Democratic candidates: Brown, Clinton, Harkin, Kerry, and Tsongas. When Agran moved into a three-way tie with Harkin and Brown with 2% of the vote, most of the TV news didn't mention Agran. The day Bill Clinton captured what may have been the most valuable airtime of the entire election, as he spoke to 50 million viewers about his alleged affair, was the same day that a poll showed Agran's support at 4%. He had passed Brown and was the 5th leading candidate. When ABC's Sunday Evening News reported this poll, they simply deleted Agran entirely by not reporting his candidacy. During the New Hampshire primary, Agran's only live commercial TV appearance was through this satellite feed to ABC's Nightline. But the Nightline program wasn't directly about the election. When Agran complained to news executives about his lack of coverage, he was told he had not earned the right to media exposure because he had not received enough media exposure.
And on stage, the 5 major contenders for the Democratic presidential nomination.
Although Agran was on the ballot in nearly half the country, he was barred from most televised debates, including this one sponsored by the League of Women Voters. He couldn't meet one of the League's main criteria, which was, quote, recognition by the national media as a candidate meriting media attention, unquote.
Good evening and welcome to the Democratic presidential candidates debate on urban America.
Agran wanted to debate on urban America, calling for a 50% cut in defense spending and the reinvestment of some of that money into America's decaying cities.
We are going to be coming to you, live from Lehman College, and you'll hear a bit of a disturbance in the background, but we'll go on with that in any case.
The disturbance is Larry Agran, asking to be included in the debate so that he can explain his plans for defense cuts and urban revitalization.
Bronxborough President Ferdinand Ferrer, and Mr. President, I suggest you wait for just a moment till the man is quieted or chooses to quiet down. All right.
Agran was quickly arrested. His court date fell on the first day of the Democratic National Convention.
His campaign, but very little said about the problems facing America's cities. Tonight, we'll change all that.
Without media exposure and the debates, Agran couldn't quickly receive federal campaign funds, and his candidacy lost momentum.
You look all right on camera.
What's that?
You look all right on the
Really? Oh. I guess I got a mustache that shows through here. Why don't you go get some stuff, Mike? Oh, yeah. There we go. Campaign funds.
The Democratic Party refused to include Agran in the debates or speak to the networks on his behalf. Agran talked about his exclusion, saying, "I've challenged my own party for its continuing complicity in Cold War thinking, Cold War rhetoric, and Cold War budgets."
To restore order right now, there are 3,000 National Guardsmen on duty in the city of Los Angeles. Another 2,200 stand ready to provide immediate support.
So to speak.
In 1992, the networks had their own solutions for urban decay.
This morning we are here looking for solutions.
CBS looked for solutions at LA's Martin Luther King Hospital.
Well, a hospital like Martin Luther King can see more trauma than all of Western Europe does in a year. In fact, there's so much trauma there that the U.S. Army sent its combat surgeons there so they get a sense of what these very severe wounds were like. In fact, when I was in the Gulf War, a number of the senior combat surgeons are trained right here at Martin Luther King Hospital.
Dr. Bob, thanks.
Before he went on air, part of Dr. Bob's diagnosis was cut out because it was too obtuse.
Yeah, so what's your impression? My impression is, places like South Central LA, around the country, look more and more like real third world countries, without developing, there's some onward development, there's some vision for the future.
Well, your impressions of the medical care are you talking about? I think that gets too obtuse. If I were to ask about the level of the trauma care, Cuba has always been considered superior, has it not, to other parts of the country?
Cook. Yeah, 30 seconds.
It's the best. You know,
Okay, why
gunshot.
don't I say something like that?
Okay.
As the conditions of the cities became obtuse to the networks, they turned to the suburbs to render a verdict on the campaign.
Later, eye on the campaign. You will see and hear some of the suburban voters who may very well decide this election. Back now live from St. Louis. There is news far beyond this city tonight. In, what is this? In Hawaii. In Haiti. Oh, well, they all look alike. In Haiti, a huge explosion leveled a three-story building in downtown Port-au-Prince. At least 15 Haitians killed. Take a look at the roads leading into and out of Los Angeles. Lately, you see more taillights than headlights. A lot of people leaving this town for good. Where are they going? Anywhere else. Why?
While the ethnically diverse cities were abandoned for the homogeneous suburbs, the networks created their own recipes for the melting pot.
Make a note. Give it to Kathy, who may be the best at this. Since we're going to wish people a happy Rosh Hashanah, which is my idea and a good idea, just don't forget to check when Ramadan is. We have to wish all of our Muslim friends happy Ramadan. And then behind that, when you get to the Buddhist New Year, the year of the rat or the year of the monkey, whatever it is, we have to... got to be politically correct here, pal.
After 4 Los Angeles police officers were found not guilty of assaulting Rodney King, the TV news moved away from the residents of L.A. and into the sky with 13 television-equipped helicopters.
I'm sorry, we're still hung up in our car here. They're just marching up and down the streets, and they formed a big bulkhead here at the end of at the corner.
The distant coverage in the sky was emulated on the ground by the scarce street reporters who tried to glide by without speaking to the protesters of the verdict.
With the chants, no justice, no peace is what they're chanting. You can hear them now. We can keep going here. Now let's go.
No justice, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. We ain't got nothing to say. Change, people. There should never been a change of venue. There should never been a change of venue. And as a result, this is what you have. This is what you have. There's not clips down here. There's no bloods down here. There's just concerned citizens down here that don't like the way the system is done. This is what we're talking about.
Could you tell me? Could you tell me? Okay, they're on. You did that, they cut us.
Huh?
They cut us, you did that. No justice, no peace.
The voiceless scenes from South Central L.A., where nearly 50% of the children live in poverty, was contextualized by the $600,000 a year TV news anchors.
As the looting goes on in a senseless fashion, people arguing for sanity on the one hand, simultaneous looting in a random fashion for things that people can't even use.
25 years ago, the media's coverage of the riots in the Watts area of Los Angeles was called racially divisive by the federally empowered Kerner Commission. The commission was formed in order to find the root causes of the urban violence of the late 1960s. It found that one cause was the massive economic collapse and poverty of the cities. The other was the media. The Kerner Commission found the media guilty of failing to communicate to all ethnic groups the complex and fundamental problems of race relations. This LA news anchor made these comments moments before reporting the verdict in the second LAPD beating trial of Rodney King.
Okay, I'm standing by, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have shit to say. We don't have anything to do. But by God, the management of this company deems it necessary that I come on the air. We're going to shock the shit out of all of you.
In just half an hour from now, the jury in the federal Rodney King beating trial will be back in session.
The Kerner Commission said media's failure to communicate was caused in part by the media's shockingly backward hiring practices. Hardly any people of color worked as TV news directors, the people who set policy and make decisions. Television responded to the criticism by hiring cameramen, clerks, and makeup artists that were African American, Latino, and Asian American. For each of these ethnic groups, the number of TV news directors is a few percentage points above zero since the Kerner Commission's verdict 25 years ago.
You announced that they get rid of their gate tomorrow, and it'll stop tomorrow. You announced that.
As the networks covered over the voices from LA, the candidates told the story of their own.
I felt anger. I felt pain. I thought, how can I explain this to my grandchildren?
Yeah, what? No, and also when you talk about talking with our grandkids, about
How to explain this to my grandchildren?
And given the fact that this is a presidential election year, it's also a challenge to the man who would challenge the president for the country's leadership.
But if you can really tell one good story about you.
So to speak.
Of course, everyone knows the old rhyme. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. We know his voyage took him to the New World, and his arrival changed the world forever. But beyond that, much about Columbus remains the subject of some dispute.
During the celebration of the 500th anniversary of Columbus's discovery of the Americas, the only satellite feed I found with a Native American guest was this feed to a local morning talk show. The guest is a historian and a member of the Cherokee Nation.
You said he presided over death of 250,000 people. No, that wasn't at his own hand. That was, well, he followed him and disease and that sort of thing.
No,
he could
I'm talking about like his first 2 years here, 250,000. It's pretty well documented. He took his interpreters, he took his guides as slaves. He chopped off the hands of anyone over 14, any male over 14 who couldn't bring him gold. He took women as sex slaves for his men.
Dr. Matei, I want to thank you very much for coming by. Thanks for spending some time with us this morning on the Good Morning Show.
You're welcome. That was brief.
Okay. Hopefully painless, sir.
The painful lessons of Columbus's past were never mentioned as the networks debated his legacy.
Interesting debate. I'm not sure we settled it this morning, but we appreciate trying that through. Thank you both.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more of our special edition of Today on Governor's Island right after this.
What did he say that made any sense? Anything?
They just, think that he ruined the paradise and had no respect for nature and treated the Indians like dog do and...
What the hell is he know?
Okay.
So to speak.
Pretty quickly.